Hello. I don't know where to begin. I'm just gonna start talking about my mom, what happened to her. She recently, unfortunately, she passed away. And anybody who has been following me for a while knows that I have been looking after her for quite a long time, almost 10 years now, like 7 years to be exact. And she had a brain aneurysm that left her completely disabled and dependent on people to look after her. And that's why I was looking after her for 7 years. A little background regarding my mom's health, because it's pretty long and complicated, but she originally was diagnosed with lupus about over 20 years ago. And ever since then, the lupus was, just stable. And then she got cirrhosis. Now, I know cirrhosis is typically a disease that alcoholics get, but you can also get it with like a disease like lupus, which attacks the immune system, attacks body organs. I guess with lupus, the most common organ that it attacks is kidneys, but lupus is just a very horrible disease out there. Yeah, with her, lupus ended up attacking her liver with cirrhosis, starting off with cirrhosis, and then eventually just a year and a half ago was diagnosed with cancer in the liver. They found the cancer pretty early on, so it was really small, like about 1.5 centimeters. Doctors told me it was nothing to worry about. You can do just one treatment and she's gonna be fine. So we did the treatment last year. So after the treatment, they make you do labs and also do like a CT scan to check how the treatment went. And with my mom, unfortunately, the cancer just grew and it just got bigger. When they did to do like the follow-up CT scan, they really didn't see any like cancerous tumors. But when they did the blood work, they found, cancer. And so they spent a couple of probably weeks just doing a whole bunch of tests to figure out what was going on until eventually she was diagnosed with, officially having cancer and what to do next. Because my mom, and this was a really difficult decision for me. I had to talk with family members, and because my mom has a really long list of health issues, it's not just the disability caused by the aneurysm that she has. She also had lupus, she had diabetes, she had heart disease, she had blood pressure, of course the cirrhosis, and now this cancer. So all of those health issues really kind of worried me about chemotherapy. Like she would not be strong enough to do chemo, because I have seen people that are younger and in much healthier conditions than my mom, and chemo really takes a toll on them. So for somebody like my mom, who was older and she has a lot of complicated health issues and a weak immune system, something like chemotherapy, she would not be able to tolerate it. It would not benefit her at all. So I came with the decision of just focusing on comfort and, just skip the whole chemo thing, because it's really not going to do much at this point. It's just going to just cause pain and torture. And for what? So that was the The decision made was no chemo and just focus on her comfort. And yeah, it all happened really quick. So yeah, in January of this year, she was officially like, yeah, she has cancer, and talking about whether or not she would get chemo or not. And that's when I made the decision not to do the chemo and just focus on her comfort. And we enrolled her in palliative care. So palliative nurses would come to my home and check on my mom, and whatever I needed, they would help and give me information and whatever medication as well. That was in February when I enrolled her into palliative care. In March, just immediately going into March, her health drastically declined. She was hospitalized because she ended up vomiting blood. She was in the hospital for like a week and then discharged. And from the discharge, she was just enrolled into hospice. It just happened so fast, like just a couple of weeks ago. Like, it's fresh. A week ago, March 23, Saturday, yeah, is when she passed. It was surreal. Like, I never imagined my mom passing away. Yeah, I didn't think she would pass away this quickly. I thought in my mind like she would have the cancer for a good while, maybe a couple of more months, but not like weeks. She was discharged like around the 13th of March from the hospital. She came back home, and then like 10 days later, she passed away. With my mom, like, she was on a puree diet for the past, I want to say 2 years. She was on purees. And then on January, I noticed that it was very difficult for her to drink liquids like regular water. So I switched over to thickened liquids. And by February, even the thickened liquids, she was not able to tolerate that. She was just eating the purees. And then by when we went into March, the purees started to be like difficult for her to eat. It was almost as if she didn't comprehend that she had to eat, and swallow the food. And that became really challenging, and it took a really long time to get her to eat her food, which was already pureed. So you would think that that would be easy, but for her, it wasn't. Right until the end, like just a couple of days before her passing, she stopped eating. Now, that's another thing in regards to like people when they are, as the nurse said, transitioning. As regarding like not eating, that was a conversation that I had with the nurses in hospice, because they make you decide on whether or not you want to put your relative in like a feeding tube or just focus on comfort. With me in the beginning, I had a hard time with that decision because I was like, she is cognitive impaired, and I know that her cognitive is going to decline, and I don't know if the not wanting to eat is going to be because of her cognitive, not knowing that she should be eating, or just her body, I don't know, shutting down and not wanting to eat, or a combination of both. Like, so I was confused about that in the beginning, but when I was confronted with reality, I realized that no, it's like your whole body is shutting down and it doesn't want to eat. And that is like the first signs that a person is transitioning into passing. that was happening with my mom. Like, I remember, when was it, on Thursday? Yeah, on Thursday, she stopped eating. She did not want to eat. She did not want to take medications, nothing. Like, she would literally fight me not to eat. She would clench her teeth like this so that I would not be able to give her any food, any medication. At first, the nurse gave some pain medication. I wasn't even able to give her that because she was not opening her mouth at all. So eventually, like that Thursday at night, the nurse came and gave morphine drip, where you just put the drips in the mouth so that she won't feel any pain. But yeah, on Thursday evening, she started to complain with pain, and which is very unusual for her because she's cognitive impaired. She doesn't really talk or anything. And for her to be moaning in pain was new, and so it meant that she seriously felt pain if she was able to like say it. So I called the nurses in hospice and told them about that, and so they quickly prescribed some medication and delivered it. But I was not able to give that medication because, like I said, she wasn't swallowing. Like, she was not opening her mouth and swallowing nothing. So that didn't really work. I called them again and I told them that that didn't really work and she was still in pain, and what can we do? That's when a nurse came at night with morphine drip, where you just like drip morphine into the mouth and just absorbs into the body, and you know, gives some relief from some pain relief. So that's what we did, starting Thursday and Friday. And Friday, she was just in bed, and I just kept going and just moving her around so she won't get bed sores, and changing her, making sure she's clean. I also noticed on Friday her chest, I don't know if it was her chest, her throat sounded congested, like heavily congested. And it just kept getting worse and worse by the hour. And I was afraid it might be pneumonia or bronchitis. And so I called the nurse and told them about this. The nurse came, they brought the medication, but they also told me that she was transitioning. You know, she's not eating, she's doing this heavy breathing that sounds mucony and conjunctions in the neck area. It didn't hear like on the chest, it was more like on the neck area that you can hear the heavy, like mucusy. And she just told me that she's transitioning, and but it just kept getting worse and worse by the hour, and louder as well. So she was like that all Friday. And Saturday, she woke up, she was still alive. I got up to position her, to change her position, you know, because you can't leave somebody in the same position for a long time, otherwise they get bed sores. So I changed her position early in the morning, like around 7 a.m., gave her a little bit more morphine so that she won't feel pain. I went back to the living room, and she just kept laying there, sleeping and resting. And then I went back at 9 to check on her again, and she was good. She was there, and I just talked with her, you know, try to speak with her, tell her, you know, she's a good mother, and, you know, just personal things that I don't yet feel comfortable saying in this video. But I did talk with her and was able to say some things to her before her passing. But yeah, I said some things to her. I went back in the living room, and I don't know, around 10, yeah, I stopped like hearing the heavy breathing, because she had the heavy breathing coming from her neck, like the I like stopped hearing that. So I said, let me go check on her and see how she's doing. And when I went back, like, she was not there anymore. She was gone. And it was kind of strange seeing her that way. I never can imagine that. I don't think we can all imagine that, but it wasn't a surprise, because doctors, nurses, like all these medical professionals have already warned me that this was going to happen. And so I wasn't surprised. So that's another thing that I have to thank the doctors and the nurses and just all the medical professionals, is that they were very honest with me, and not just being realistic in what is going to happen, and to not be surprised, because oftentimes that is a really big shock, if nobody tells you that the relative's going to pass away. But in my case, they already told me weeks, months ago that she was not doing well and that she can pass any moment. When I discovered her body, that's another thing that I don't have experience dealing with unalive people, so I didn't know exactly what to do. But because she was in hospice, they told me what to do in case she does pass away. And what they told me was to just call the nurse, and the nurse would handle everything. She would call the mortuary, report the death certificates, and just do all the kind of medical stuff, so I won't have to do it, because I wouldn't know what to do. The only thing I think I would have done were like 911, but yeah, I just called a nurse and she handled everything and was very, very helpful, because I wouldn't have known what to do. Like, it's been probably a little bit over a week that my mom passed, and it feels really strange, because I was looking after her for so long. I built a routine around her. So it's really difficult for me to adjust to this new life of, I don't have to do the routine anymore, right? I don't have to, at this time, I have to give her medication. At this time, I have to give her lunch. At this time, bathroom breaks, and so on and so forth. If I go and run errands, I had a time limit. I never had like I guess you can say, freedom to go out and come back at whatever time I wanted. I always had to have a time limit to whatever I did in case I went out, whether it be to run errands, anything. I would be, I guess you can say, on the clock. So now that I'm not really on the clock, it feels really strange. Even though my mom passed away, it is really sad, because she's not going to be here anymore with me. Knowing my mom, like I said, how she is, she's very outgoing, very social, and to do like a complete shutdown where she's not the active social person anymore, I know that alone was difficult for her. But then all the health issues that she had to deal with, not being able to talk, like all of that was difficult for her. I'm just relieved that she's in a much better place now than how she was with her health complications and everything. I am going to miss her. It's my mom, like, of course, I'm going to miss her. I don't know, like, even though she passed away, I still like feel her presence, like she's around. Yeah, I just wanted to share my experience with my mom's passing, because I feel like nobody really talks about the details on what happens when people pass away. It's kind of like a mystery, but I think we should be more aware and informed of how, you know, like the different ways people pass away, because we're all gonna do it. You know, we're all headed to that same place, the same direction. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. See you on my next video. Bye.